Hello YouTubers and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. My name is Molly Kate, but I go by Roam the World Girl on YouTube and on Instagram. If you've liked my content so far, please subscribe to my channel. If you've never been on my channel before and this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I hope you like the content and feel free to like and share this video and subscribe when it's over. As promised last Friday, today's video is about how to plan your next trip. So whether that be international or within your own country, today I will just give you the basic outline on how to plan your next trip, because it can be really scary and really intimidating to just like plan on leaving wherever you are in your safe zone and going to somewhere you've never been, especially if it's international. But don't be afraid, because it's so worth it and it's really simple and it's not scary. So let's get into it. The thing that I will suggest first to everybody before giving you the first tip is to keep a travel journal. This was my first travel journal. It is full now, but I keep a travel journal for several reasons, including that I like to document what I'm doing on my travels and certain memories so that I can look back at it and laugh at the great times, or even, you know, remember the times that were really stressful and awful within traveling, because that does happen too. But I also write down all of my travel plans in my journal itself. So the first time that I wrote in this journal was when I was planning my very first international trip personally, and it was a trip to India. And so the first thing I wrote in here was backpacking India, and it referenced a blog that I liked back in the day and I actually still like today. It's called Goats on the Road. But I wrote everything in here, like budgeting, accommodation, food, entrance fees. So just maybe start by planning in a travel journal, and we'll get started on the actual tips now of planning your trip. So tip number one is figure out where you want to go. Do you want to be on a beach in Bali? Do you want to explore Patagonia? Do you want to go to, say, somewhere like India for the spiritual experience? Or maybe you want to go to Europe and explore old architecture? There are so many destinations in the world that will accommodate your interests and why you want to see that part of the world. So figure out where you want to go first. The second tip is figure out if that country is actually plausible for your budget and for your visa and for everything else. Visas are a whole nother thing. But definitely always check to see if the country you want to go to requires a visa. Don't just show up without a visa, because it causes a lot of problems in the airport. Always check beforehand, and don't buy the flight before you've already settled everything with your visa and made sure that you got your passport and visa on time. Because if you have a flight and your visa gets delayed, you don't have a visa, then you're not going to get let into the country anyway. So in order to figure out if it's possible for you financially, one of the best things that I do when I travel is I get onto Google and I search daily budget for whatever country I'm going to. So you could write, like, say we're going to Thailand, daily budget for traveling Thailand, and several blogs will pop up on either cheap travel in Thailand or traveling a little bit more luxuriously. You'll find so many different resources on budgets in Thailand. So figure out if you're able to afford going to wherever you want to go to, and how much time you'll probably need to save the money for that trip, and see if it's plausible. For example, I wanted to go to China this year, and the average daily budget was much higher than the budget that I was kind of wanting to stick with, because China's pretty expensive. And the visa for me was also $200, and the visa's pretty hard to obtain. It takes a lot of time, and you have to be at the Chinese consulate in person if you're in a different country. It's just, there's a lot to it. So I was like, okay, do I want to spend $200 on a visa, or do I want to spend $30 on a visa upon entry to Malaysia or something like that? And also, do I want to spend the daily budget that China requires, or would I rather spend about half that daily budget in somewhere like Malaysia? Because as you know, many countries are way more expensive to travel than others. Like Southeast Asia, known for being pretty cheap. Mexico, also cheap. Sweden, Norway, anywhere in Europe, a little bit more expensive. So do your research before actually deciding on a destination. Once you've decided on that, you can move to the third step, which is creating your actual budget. So when creating a budget, start to Google things like average cost of a meal in Thailand, average cost of tourist activities in Thailand, average cost of accommodation in Thailand, or even look up on Hostel World, hostels in Thailand, and see where you're comfortable in your price range, like what accommodation is comfortable for you. Obviously the cheapest accommodation might not be comfortable if you like a luxurious travel. I've gone very luxurious and I've also gone the cheapest route possible. There are pros and cons to both, but that's a whole different video. So create a budget overall on how much you'll need to save and create a cushion. I would not travel with the exact amount that you need. You always want to save extra, because if you run out of money or there's an emergency while you're traveling, you want to have a cushion. There's nothing more stressful than running out of money when you're not in your own home and country with no job or like you're taking time off. So always create a cushion and save more than what you actually need. And then when you're in that country, do your best to follow your budget. One tip that I have for you on the budget aspect is that whenever I get to a country, I actually keep track of everything I spend for the first several weeks. If I'm spending a long extended period of time traveling, I write down everything, like water bottles that I buy, food, accommodation, taxis, like everything that I spend, literally everything, I write it down for at least a week, and that way I can get an idea of what I'm spending daily and if I'm actually following my budget. Sometimes I'm surprised and I'm spending less daily than I budgeted for, and I'm like, oh cool, so I get to splurge here and there. Or sometimes I'm like, ooh, I'm like a little bit over my budget and I really don't want to run out of money halfway through, so I really need to figure out where to cut down. Sometimes that's cutting down on clothing. I love buying foreign clothing. This came from a friend in India who made it for me and I just love it. It's so cool. So sometimes it's really good to keep track of what you're spending while you're in the country, and that way you don't overspend, because we all know how easy it is to spend more than you realize you're spending. Alright, so the fourth tip that comes after creating your budget is creating your timeline. Those two go kind of hand in hand, because if you don't have a timeline, then you don't know how much time you'll be in that country and you don't know how much to save. So they kind of go side by side. Figure out if you'll be spending 2 weeks or several months or 1 week or 5 days or whatever. So create your timeline, and once you have the time that you'll be spending in that country set out, or that state, or wherever you're going, then you can figure out what you want to do within that place. Step number 6, the next step is creating a list of things you want to do in the place that you're going. Whichever place you're going to, say we're going to Thailand still, one of the things that I would Google if I was about to visit Thailand is best things to do in Thailand. Or if I know I'm only going to have enough time for South Thailand, I'll say best destinations in South Thailand, things to do in South Thailand, how to spend 2 weeks in Thailand, how to spend 2 weeks in South Thailand, whatever. There are so many ways to word it that'll bring up different blogs, and there are so many people that are in the travel community that'll give you an actual route to follow, city by city, that makes sense. Say you have a month and a half to travel Thailand. You can do all of Thailand in a month and a half. You can start in Chiang Mai, which is in the north, and you'll follow a travel blogger's route relatively if you want to, if it looks interesting. You can follow it all the way through to very South Thailand over 6 weeks. And there are so many people who have already done this before you. So take their advice, you know, and in their blogs they'll also probably have a lot of other tips within that reading that'll be applicable to you. And it builds up the excitement as well, because you get to see all these beautiful places and it's really fun. Alright, then, once you have this whole trip set out, like you know where you're gonna go, you know if you can financially afford it, how much time you need to work to save for it, you know how much time you're gonna spend there and the things you want to do there, this part comes next. That's buying the flights. So, before you buy your flight, do research on the best time to buy flights, the best days to fly on, and really everything else that you can know about buying flights before you buy it. Also, one tip that you need to know is that flight companies and flight websites track your cookies and increase the prices once they realize that you're looking at a flight consistently. This happened to me when I bought a one-way ticket to India last year. I had found it for $475, which is really cheap, and I wasn't sure about the dates that I was leaving it, so I was waiting and waiting and waiting and checking it every day to make sure it wasn't going up. But it kept going up every day, and it would go up by like $50, and it would go up by like $100, or it would go by like $7. And I was like, regardless, it's going up. Like, I need to buy my ticket now. Like, it's just continuing to rise, and it's like a hot commodity all of a sudden, and it's not going to go back down, and you start to like freak out. So I bought my ticket, panicked, for like $620. The next week, it was back down to $475, and I was like, ah! So, make sure that you're either on a private browser, and that you delete your cookies, and then also check several different websites first. I'm moving to India in 5 weeks actually, which is something I haven't told you guys yet. I'm moving to live with my boyfriend up in the Himalayas, and I'll be doing all of my schooling online, which is pretty exciting. I will be continuing the blog, but I just bought a one-way ticket to India about 3 weeks ago, and on Skyscanner, which is a fantastic website for finding flights, I found it for I think like $530, but on Momondo, which is a website I've never used, that's new to me, I found it for $320. Like, that is the cheapest I've ever found a ticket to India, and with my bags included, it came up to like $420, and that's like just so cheap. So for anyone who wants to come visit me, all my friends and family, obviously it's cheaper than you think to get there, but do your research first. Just Google blogs on finding cheap flights, because there's a blog on everything. In the description below, I will link several blogs that I really enjoy. Hippie in Heels is one of them. She was one of the first blogs that I ever came across when traveling, because she lives in India, so she has so much insight on the country. And also Girl vs. Globe was a really cool YouTube channel that I found. There are so many out there, so I'll link a couple of my favorites in the description for you. Nomadic Matt is also a really good one, and he sends his subscribers emails all the time on different tips and how to buy travel insurance, etc. I'm definitely looking at travel insurance, by the way, because most insurance plans don't cover international, and that's like health insurance, and sometimes it can be really important to have health insurance in case you like break your leg on a motorbike in Thailand or something. They also sometimes cover electronic loss or damage, which is cool if you have like expensive gear like a DSLR. World Nomads is what I use. I'll also link them below. But overall, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and share this video. And I'm not sure what I'm doing next week yet. Things are getting crazy because school's starting a week from today, and then I'm like moving 3 weeks after that, and life's about to get like really crazy. So next week there is a surprise video on I don't know what, but stay tuned, and I really hope to see you next Friday. Have a great day. Bye!